The more I think about it, the more futile it seems to debate. Now, the title is a little bit clickbaity here because I'm not saying it's always the case or that we should never debate or that there's no points in it. Of course, there is. But with the way they always are approached nowadays, it essentially, they go against what I believe a debate should be. A debate should be a seeking of the truth, where you, even though you're defending a side, you wouldn't do everything to defend it. And if at some point you were to recognize that, oh, maybe I don't know it all, maybe I'm a bit wrong here, maybe I actually need to think more about it, if such a thing were to happen, your reaction would not be to, oh, put that aside, let me just find something that I can actually defend and not go there and protect myself, essentially. Because the nature of debates nowadays are a lot of times public. Public in the sense of on YouTube or Instagram or somewhere where there is a vast audience watching and observing. And that there's a lot of benefit to winning it. And also, whatever the opposite word is of benefit I can think right now, a lot of consequences for losing. Your whole career could be over if you lose a debate online, or you could start one. And because of this, by there being such a reward for it, or a risk as well if you fail, one cannot approach it honestly. It is impossible, because how can you when there's so much riding on you winning? Honestly, you really can't. You will just be focusing on winning at whatever is required. Second of all, and I think this is what also upsets me about debates, is that you can win a debate and not be right. Or you can lose it and be right and be the one that was actually sharing the truth, the true conclusion, but you just didn't have the arguments to get there. Doesn't mean that someone better couldn't have, but you just didn't. And I just don't think that is the correct way of going about it. A debate where it's me versus that person. I think it's just so much more useful to approach things, and perhaps maybe a lot of it is semantics and how we define, of course. But I think it's so much more useful to approach it as well as one can, as honestly, as the opposite of what you go when you go into a debate, which is assuming that I'm not right, actually. I have this point, but I'm not right. Let me hear what the other person is saying. Let me be humble. Let me learn. Let me assume that there's something for me to learn from this person, even if I really disagree with them, even if in my core I believe I have the truth. But let me not go into this conversation like that. I was watching a video recently that I believe is just so much better than a debate, and it was Alex O'Connor debating another person. I'm gonna put the screenshot if I find it. A Christian influencer. I don't know, influencer perhaps is a bit derogative, but a Christian person that has a YouTube channel. And they were talking with each other in such a healthy manner, such a humble manner, where they're not attacking, they're not either of them claiming to have the truth and I'm just gonna come at this guy with the truth. No, is trying to understand the other side and asking questions to the other person to see where does this lead and how does this, how does your side and then my side, how do they combine? How can I learn from you? How can I not? Is this a blind spot that you have here? Essentially, assuming the intelligence and the value of the person in front of you. And I think this is missing nowadays from, I'm not going to say everywhere because it definitely exists as the example here, but the online space, that's where most of these things happen, it is lacking severely in this. Because often this doesn't sell, this doesn't get clicks. It's not one of these, like the old school, like, oh, Ben Shapiro destroys college student, this type of thing. Yeah, that may be entertaining to watch, but it doesn't do anything because the people that don't agree are not going to watch it. And those that agree are just going to go more into their argument because he's debating someone that is not well versed in that. And what is the point of that? It's like an MMA fighter beating some random dude from the street. What value is it in that? Nothing. The value is when high competition faces high competition, but with humility, with honesty, with a true desire to find the truth and not to win. Because we're just after winning and after, again, being the one that comes out on top, we may achieve the result, but we may miss the truth. And isn't the truth what we were after when we began this pursuit? Isn't the truth the true goal of any debate, any conversation, any search that goes beyond what we already know? Is it not to find the truth? Well, I think it is. I think any person that is honest with themselves will say the same thing. Well, then why do we engage with the opposite? Why do we engage in these battles, in these, owning other people, even people that are being like that towards us? If our goal is for them to change our minds, will we achieve that by attacking them? We won't. We'll just send them further down the path they're already going more into the extreme version of what they already believe, and we close the space for minds to change, for learning to happen, for, at the very least, for two human beings who disagree to be able to have a polite conversation. And we must be able to have those, because if we can't, we'll never learn. We'll isolate ourselves. We'll believe that we know more, even though we will know less, because we'll close off our minds. And I think it's just not good. Like, the more I see this in myself, when I'm in periods that I do feel like I'm learning more and I'm reading better books and really diving into things that require more mental power, I'm always humble, as I've spoken in a previous video. I'm always, it's like a spotlight is shown on all that I don't know. And confronted with that, how can one continue in being so arrogant and being so focused on winning? You cannot. You are forced to focus on learning and on improving yourself, improving your thought, your speech, your writing, all of it. And this is what we have to seek. Because whatever we seek, we find. So we have to be careful.